And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. You know what? We have got a fantastic show for you today. You know what? I think we have a fantastic show for you every day. But you know what? Today's going to be a special day for you guys. On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I do every day. But on today's show, we have a special segment with John Matthews. John and I are going to be doing our simulcast on the Conservative Syndicate. So we've got two networks working at the same time. That'll be really interesting. And later on this afternoon, we'll have our own David Garrett here with Garrett on the Law. That's always exciting and always good stuff to go on. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. Before that, I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. A little different than the 80 degrees from yesterday. And we're expecting some rain tonight and tomorrow, maybe even into Sunday. So who knows what's going on. We're going to have some of that famous California liquid sunshine. But right now, I want to give you some news, the 10 things that you need to know for Friday, your daily look at breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that will be talked about all day today and tomorrow, Saturday. And first up is Trump. The GOP rivals fight on, this time politely. The latest Republican presidential face-off veers to mostly respectful but still pointed discussion of Social Security, Islam, trade, and more. And the GOP field barrels toward all-important primaries. Elections in Florida and 4 other states next week will go a long way toward determining the outcome of the primary season. And files surface with personal data on militants. The documents could help authorities track down and prosecute foreign fighters who return home after joining the Islamic State group. And why some Americans want to do away with daylight savings time. By the way, I just want to remind you that starts this Sunday, so it's actually Sunday morning at 2 a.m. You just set your clocks ahead 1 hour. I'll try and remind you about that again later on in the day. But, you know, opponents of this, of changing the clocks twice a year, argue that traffic accidents, heart attacks, and strokes increase when we change the time. I'm not sure I follow that, but who knows? And anyway, how about this? Closure of the migrant trail through Balkans raises worry. Concern mounts that people desperate for sanctuary or jobs in Europe are turning to smugglers to find other pathways. And Trudeauomania arrives in America. The first state dinner of Obama's final year honors Canada and its newest sensation named Justin, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And how California lawmakers aim to combat smoking. We talked about this yesterday at some depth. A measure passed by the state assembly would raise the legal age for purchasing and using tobacco and e-cigarettes from 18 to 21. Then, famed movie set designer dies at 95. Ken Adams gave Dr. Strangelove its cavernous war room and James Bond supervillains their futuristic lairs. Well, where watering holes are drying up, the number of neighborhood bars across the United States is shrinking as more people do their drinking in restaurants and huge sports bars. And then finally, last holdout for a postseason conference tourneys finally give in. The Ivy League will add men's and women's basketball tournaments next season that will determine the conference's automatic berths for the NCAA tournament. Well, that gives you the encapsulated view of what's going on in the news. Let's give you some in-depth stuff. Let's talk about extraordinary tactics as the GOP foes struggle to stop Trump. You know, vote for home state governor John Kasich in next Tuesday's Ohio primary, not for Marco Rubio. Republicans are being urged by Marco Rubio. It's all part of an extraordinary tactics Donald Trump's presidential foes are resorting to in last-ditch efforts to block the party's front runner. If you want to stop Trump in Ohio, Kasich is the only guy who can beat him there, Rubio spokesman Alex Conant said today in an interview with the Associated Press. In turn, Florida Senator Rubio is hoping to win in his home state on Tuesday, thereby splitting the day's two big delegate prizes and keeping them out of Trump's hands. While only Kasich can take on Trump in Ohio, Marco is the only guy who can beat him in Florida, Conant said. Polls suggest Kasich has a better chance in his state than Rubio has in Florida, but it's important for both of them and to Texas Senator Ted Cruz, the other man in the four-corner fight, to keep Trump from sweeping the two big states and taking a big step towards showing up the Republican nomination. You know what? It looks like Trump's ahead in both states, Florida and in Ohio, just squeaky by a little bit in Ohio, but let's see what happens there. You know what? Isn't this, again, just more dirty tactics? I think so. You know, it just seems to me that that's just not the way that things should be done. Can't you just let it happen on the honest way? How about this? 2 Donald Trumps? Depends on which one you ask. Are there 2 Donald Trumps, the quiet thinker and the flashy showman? Depends on which one you ask. Perhaps there are 2 Donald Trumps, the Republican presidential frontrunner said during an understated news conference today at his over-the-top Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. I'm somebody who is a thinker. I'm a big thinker. But after more questions from reporters intrigued by what may lie beneath Trump's bombastic public image, the real estate mogul changed his mind. I don't think there are 2 Donald Trumps, he said, making no effort to address the contradiction. You know, this guy, he gets pressed no matter what the heck they say about him, you know? How about this? Protesters repeatedly interrupt Trump at a rally in St. Louis. Facing intensifying criticism for the violent clashes between supporters and protesters that have come to define his rallies, GOP presidential frontrunner Donald Trump continued to taunt those who interrupt his events in St. Louis Friday or this afternoon, while promising that police and security would be gentle as they remove them. They're allowed to get up and interrupt us horribly, and we have to be very, very gentle. Trump panned in response to one of nearly a dozen interruptions as he spoke at the city's Regal Peabody Opera House. They can swing and hit people, but if we hit them back, it's a terrible, terrible thing, right? Well, throughout his speech, Trump was deeply critical of the protesters, all of whom appeared to leave the venue peaceably. Well, that's a good thing, considering what that 78-year-old guy did to one of the people over the weekend or over the week. You know, just cold cocked him right in the face, right? Well, friends and family say a final farewell to Nancy Reagan. Mourners from the top ranks of Washington and Hollywood paid final tribute to Nancy Reagan today, recalling at her funeral how the former First Lady and her husband made up 2 halves of a circle, with a legendary love that seemed to inspire everyone that they met. Inseparable in life, the pair were to be reunited in death in side-by-side graves at Ronald Reagan's Presidential Library. During a service filled with poignant and often humorous memories, each speaker came back to the couple's love story. You know what? We'll talk more about what's going on right after these brief messages. Hillary Clinton actually chided for praising Nancy Reagan's AIDS role, and I'll tell you all about that when we come back from these brief messages. Do not go away. We've got a lot of good stuff for you today.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. And when we left, I told you we were going to talk about Hillary Clinton. She was chided for praising Nancy Reagan's AIDS role. Hillary Clinton apologized today after gay rights and AIDS activists assailed her for saying Nancy Reagan helped start a national conversation about AIDS in the 1980s when protesters were struggling to get more federal help in fighting the disease. Clinton, one of two contenders for the Democratic presidential nomination, made her initial comments in an interview with MSNBC during its coverage of Nancy Reagan's funeral. Soon after the interview aired, MSNBC's Twitter feed was flooded with comments accusing Clinton of misrepresenting history and insulting the 1980s activists who pressured elected officials to step up the response to AIDS. Clinton soon apologized. While the Reagans were strong advocates for stem cell research and finding a cure for Alzheimer's disease, I misspoke about their record on HIV and AIDS. For that, I am sorry, Clinton said on her Twitter account. You know what? Ronald Reagan didn't support AIDS research at all. Period. Well, there's a group of weary refugees that are stuck at the Serbian Macedonian border. Yosef Shihumas had such high hopes of starting a new life in Germany that when his son was born, the Syrian refugee named him Merkel. Only 4 months later, Shihumas has seen all those dreams shattered after he and his family boarded what has become known as the last train to Europe. The group of about 400 refugees from Syria and Iraq were among the last to enter Macedonia from Greece, where they got stuck this week when the Balkan countries started closing their borders, abruptly shutting the main migrant pathway to Europe. The group of mostly women and small children had caught a northbound train that took them to the border with Serbia, but instead of moving on, they found themselves in a no-man's land between the Macedonian and Serbian frontiers, mirrored in a muddy limbo created by the latest chaos marking Europe's worst migration crisis since World War II. Man, it just gets worse, right? Yeah. Well, Obama says abolitionist view won't solve the encryption debate. President Barack Obama said today that the encryption virus national security debate being played out in Apple's legal fight against the federal government won't be settled by taking an abolitionist view. Addressing an audience of tech enthusiasts, Obama said both values are important. He restated his commitment to strong encryption, but also asked how government will catch child pornographers or disrupt terrorist plots if smartphones and other electronic devices are made so that law enforcement can't access the data stored on them. My conclusion so far is you cannot take an abolitionist view on this, Obama said at a South by Southwest interactive festival. During a question and answer session with Evan Smith, CEO and editor-in-chief of the Texas Tribune, Obama was asked, where do you come down on the question of balancing law enforcement's needs with the right to privacy? The president was not asked to comment on the litigation between Apple and FBI, and he said he couldn't discuss the specifics. Well, couldn't he do it, or was he ducking it? I'm not sure. Are you? Well, police hunt for 2 gunmen behind a cookout ambush that killed 6. Police today sought to identify the 2 men who ambushed a backyard cookout and methodically shot and killed 6 people, including a pregnant woman and her fetus. The gunmen appeared to have targeted 1 or 2 of the victims in the Wednesday night attack, and drugs haven't been ruled out as a motive, said District Attorney Steven Zappala. The murders were planned. They were calculated, brutal, Zapata said. Neighbors brought balloons, stuffed animals, and prayers to the home Friday at a growing makeshift memorial. A group from the local church joined hands with neighbors and others to pray in front of the house. Police were seeking to identify the 2 men who seemingly worked as a team to shoot and kill the partygoers on Wednesday night. Police have no suspects, and officials said today they have no new information to release. When is this going to end? When are we going to become human beings on this planet? Don't you ever think about that? My gosh, something has got to happen here. Well, finding climate footprints in wild weather is valid, says a panel. Climate science has progressed so much that experts can accurately detect global warming's fingerprints on certain extreme weather events, such as a heat wave, according to a high-level scientific advisory panel. For years, scientists have given almost a rote response to the question of whether an instance of weird weather was from global warming, insisting that they can't attribute any single event to climate change. But the science has advanced to the point that this is no longer true. As an unqualified blanket statement, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine reported. Starting in 2004, dozens of complex peer-reviewed studies found the odds of some extreme events, but by no means all, were goosed by man-made climate change. This new field of finding global warming fingerprints is scientifically valid, the Academy said in a 163-page report released today. The private nonprofit has advised the government on complex science-oriented issues since the days of President Abraham Lincoln. Wow, old group, right? Yeah, it seems that way. Well, how about this? We'll just finish with this one. A sticky lawsuit, $400 million dispute lingers over the Post-it inventor. Yep. Alan Amron has invented a battery-powered squirt gun, a digital photo frame, even a laser system that may someday provide viable first down line for fans inside NFL stadiums. He holds 40 U.S. patents, but he's most interested in an invention for which he gets no credit, the Post-it note, that ubiquitous sticky back product made into a worldwide success by the 3M company. Amron, 67 years old, says he invented what he called the press-on memo in 1973, a full year before 3M scientists developed what later became known as the Post-it note. Although Amron settled a previous lawsuit against 3M, he's suing again in federal court in Fort Lauderdale. He says the company breached its previous agreement not to take credit. The statement is confidential. Now, Amron wants $400 million in damages, and something he says is even more important to him. I just want them to admit. Wow. Man, that was loud. More important to him is that they just want him to admit that I am the inventor and that they will stop saying that they are the inventor, Amron said in a recent interview. Every single day that they keep claiming that they invented it damages my reputation and defames me. Well, it makes sense to me. He ought to get credit for what he did, don't you think? I do too. Now, don't go away, folks. When we come back, we're going to do the IRS loses. The first case up is an ex-wife's theft of the husband's money saves him from her tax bill. I'll tell you all about it after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Okay, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. But before that, I want you to know that at 3:24 p.m. Pacific time, currently 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it's on its way down to 46 degrees, and I can tell you, it is raining outside. So this is this famous liquid sunshine that we talk about so much in California. But you know what? If you're listening to us on our global syndicated network and you're in New York City, well, it's 59 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, Illinois, it's 45 degrees and partly cloudy. But you know what? Let's talk about the IRS loses. In this case, an ex-wife's theft of her husband's money, or her ex-wife's theft of the husband's money, saves him from her tax bill. A little confusing? Listen to this. Robbie Gilbert owned and ran a business while his wife managed all of their personal accounts. When the couple fell behind on their taxes, Gilbert entered an installment agreement with the IRS. They subsequently divorced, at which point he discovered that his wife had stolen the money that he had saved to pay the tax bill and fled. The IRS subsequently tried to hold him liable for his wife's taxes on their joint returns. He went to court. This is what the judge said. Under the installment agreement, Gilbert had paid more tax than he owed on his share under the divorce decree. He had cooperated with the IRS, tried to pay the tax, and would have, but for his ex-wife's wrongdoing. So, equity requires that he be relieved of liability for her taxes. You know what? Only seems fair to me, right? She's a scumbag. Anyway, how about this? The IRS loses. A defense lawyer's mistakes set aside a verdict. Here's the case. Rodolfo Pascual had lived in as a legal immigrant in the United States since 1970. After the IRS examined his taxes, he pleaded guilty to filing 2 false tax returns for which he received probation after being told by his lawyer that it would not affect his immigration status. But the government then moved to deport him due to his plea. His new immigration lawyer then had him take a psychiatric exam that found he suffered from a severe mental illness that impaired his ability to help his own defense. He went to court. This is what the judge said. Pasquale's tax lawyer had both falsely advised him and misrepresented to the court his mental competence to enter a plea. The tax verdict is set aside for a new trial. Just makes sense, doesn't it? Sure. I'll give you one that the IRS conceded. Now, you've heard me say many times that the IRS only concedes when they're pretty doggone sure that they can't prevail in court. Here's the case. Restitution for tax evasion cannot be collected by the IRS under the tax code. Now, that sounds a little strange, but listen to this, guys. I got to tell you, I'm looking outside the studio window, and it is just pouring cats and dogs out there. I wish my car were outside. It'd be clean, you know. Anyway, let me tell you this story. An individual pleaded guilty to criminal tax evasion and was ordered to pay restitution as part of the sentence. IRS personnel asked if they could collect unpaid restitution through tax assessment. IRS legal opinion: restitution in a criminal case is not a tax payment, but a sanction that includes the cost of such governmental expenses as incarceration and probation supervision. So, restitution can't be collected by the IRS through the tax system, even if it is for a tax evasion, and the IRS applies it to a tax account. The response to non-payment must come through the criminal legal process. You got it. Now, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. That's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS, a little bit like the Twilight Zone. Yeah, you know, I love that music. Anyway, let's talk about this. You know, expenses of attending a convention or seminar outside of North America. Ever think about that? Well, they're generally disallowed according to the section 274H of the tax code, but the definition of North America has recently been changed due to a revenue ruling, and the U.S., its possessions, the trust territories of the Pacific Islands, and Canada and Mexico are all acceptable destinations now. The Bahamas, Aruba, and the Netherlands, Antilles have been added to the list. St. Lucia was dropped as of April of last year because the government failed to enact legislation to exchange financial information with the United States. But the Cayman Islands and the British Virgin Islands are not included on the list of acceptable destinations because those governments have limited the scope of the financial information that may be exchanged with the United States. So give that some thought. Well, one last one. How do you lose a computer? The Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration has disclosed that the IRS has failed to report to its office the loss of more than 75% of the IRS computers that went missing between January and June of last year. According to the IRS, more than 47,000 laptop computers are assigned to employees. Many of the computers reported missing were lost because employees kept them in unlocked vehicles, left them on buses and trains, or checked them into airline luggage, never to see them again. How standards have really dropped. In the old days, before computers, when I was practicing against the IRS, the rule was that if you lost a taxpayer's file, it would be grounds for dismissal. Everyone knew that you should never leave a file, even in your locked car, because if the car were stolen, the file would disappear. Now, don't go away. When we come back, we're going to be with John Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate Corner. We'll be right back after these brief messages. You don't want to miss this.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. John will be calling in here in about 15 or 20 seconds, and we'll start our simulcast on the Conservative Syndicate Network as well as our own. And you know what? It's going to be a great talk that we're going to have, or discussion we're going to have. I don't know if Joe Hakos will be with us or not. Maybe he's going to take the weekend off and then just start up fresh next week. It'd be a good thing for him. He's been really, really ill, and we're good to know that he's coming back, and he's coming back strong. So that's a good thing for us. So anyway, John will be with us in just a couple of minutes. Boy, the weather out here in California, I'll tell you, it is really, or at least Southern California, it's really coming down, and I understand that it's going to stay with us for a couple of days. We certainly do need the rain, so that's a good thing for us. You know what? If you're listening to us on our global network in Paris, France, well, it's 45 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're listening to us in Rome, Italy, it's 50 degrees and clear. You know what? We've got people listening to us from all over the world. We really appreciate that. Hopefully, you're using our app. It's absolutely free. You can go to the Apple Store and just search Robert Cardoza Live. It's right there. Download it. It's free. Or you can go, if you've got an Android product or a Windows product, go to googleplay.com. Again, search Robert Cardoza Live, and the app is absolutely free. Just download it, and you can listen to us. If we're broadcasting live like we are now, a little flag will say live right there. And if you're listening to one of our archives, just push on the little information button, and it'll tell you what that show for that day is all about. Well, I'm still sitting here waiting. This is a little overtime for John. I don't know why he hasn't called in yet. He should be calling in any minute. Either that or he's having some difficulties. I'm not sure which. And hopefully he'll get that resolved. In any event, I'm not sure what I should be talking about in the meantime, other than to tell you, you know what, if you watch the debates and things, one of the things that you'll get is a whole new insight when John Matthews talks about these things on our show. We do this simulcast every Monday and every Friday, and hopefully you'll enjoy and listen to these things with us. I'm not sure where John is at here, and he should be calling. He should have called in a long time ago. I'm not sure what the heck is going on with him. Let's see if I can't maybe call him and see if that'll work. Let's give that a try. I'm going to give it a try now anyway. Let's see. Well, doesn't look like that's going to work. So we'll turn that off. Let's try for John again. Let's try it over here. And we'll give that one a shot and see if he'll pick up.
And there he is.
Okay, you were supposed to call me.
I did.
Oh, but it never came through.
No, I called you twice.
Oh, and I this is my second time calling you. So anyway, we're both even. I want to tell you, buddy, it is, I don't know what's happening out by you, but the animals are lining up 2 by 2 outside our studio window here.
Oh, yeah, isn't it great?
Yeah, it's fantastic. We need the rain. Maybe it'll clear the air, and the Republicans will find out what the hell's going on in the campaigns.
Yeah, well, I was sitting here waiting for the typhoon to hit, man. It's in blankets over here.
so you know what? Listen, can we get a fast update on Joe? Is Joe back?
Philippines. Anyway, the debate last night was boring.
Yes, it was. You know what? It was back to typical stuff, right? You know what? But this morning's news was really exciting, and I know that you know about it because you actually sent me a little message about it. I was absolutely shocked to hear the new maneuver that's going on now, that Rubio is telling people in Ohio not to vote for him, but to vote for Kasich, and Kasich is going to do the same thing telling people in Florida not to vote for him, but to vote for Rubio so they can block Trump.
Well, yeah, that's one of the strategies we've been outlining here. The idea here, of course, is to keep Trump from amassing the required delegates, and in doing so, put it in a brokered convention. See, I firmly believe that's why Rubio went into this junkyard dog mode. I think he was told by the establishment elites, if you'll help us take Trump down, even if you don't win the delegates, we'll give it to you at a brokered convention. Because Rubio would be the more popular, I think, between him and Kasich. But the downer on this thing is that neither Kasich nor Rubio, I think, are going to take their own state. So why would you have somebody?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You're right. Neither one of them are going to take their own state. And, and Kasich isn't getting enough votes to shore up enough difference for Rubio in Florida for him to take it. So the only thing that's really close is Ohio, according to the polls. Ohio, Kasich and Trump are kind of neck to neck. Right now, Trump is a little bit ahead where he was 5 points below before, but it seems to be yo-yoing back and forth in there. And it could make a difference if Rubio could get his supporters to vote for Kasich in Ohio. That might make a difference for him against Trump. But I'll tell you the other thing, John, that I just, and you and I've talked about it before. I just hate this. The idea that they pull these dirty tricks to pull this stuff off, and it really doesn't become a popular vote. If you get Trump, who's got a majority of the votes and the popular support, it just seems to me that all the Republican Party is doing is ensuring their downfall and their implosion. It's the Republican Party is history at that point.
Well, I think at this point, I think that's really what the elites want. I think they're willing to sacrifice the party to preserve their majorities. Their jobs. I've been saying this, I sound like a broken record, but I don't think they're the least bit interested in winning the White House. I think it's all about just preserving what they have, and just, everybody's just stacking up years to get that pension kind of thing, or packing their resume to become a lobbyist, or, something like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I found more remarkable last night. There was a couple of things that stood out to me. One was Dana Bash going after Donald Trump over his statement about Islam being a religion of hate, and the Muslims hate us, and they kept trying to get him to either walk it back or just to completely just I hate Muslims kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Trump didn't buy it. He just went and said, "This is what I said. This is what I believe, and this is why I said it."
Yeah. And, you know what? You got to give this to Trump. He's not backpedaling on very many things, and the things that he has backpedaled on, whether it be true or not, it's generally been explained through a misunderstanding of the way something was presented to him. This guy has showed us two sides now. He showed us the abrasive, brash side of a guy that isn't going to take anything from anybody, and he's going to defend himself, and he's going to stand up for himself. And then he's shown us the quieter Trump, which is a little discerning. He seems to be almost intellectual, which I'd never thought of Trump as, but I don't suppose he could have gotten these billions of dollars by being an idiot,
Well, one of the things that about Trump, and we talked about it yesterday in our show, I had Ron Edwards on, and Ron Edwards is an evangelical Christian who supports Trump, and so we had quite of a lively exchange last night. I said, "You tell me why Trump is good." And every example that he gave me, I was able to come back and say, "Well, that doesn't really prove anything." He's saying, "Well, Trump's a successful businessman." Well, yes, but I've examined Trump's failures as well as his successes. And his successes were all involving a collective, meaning that there were a group of investors that got together. They had a board and everything else, and everybody had an input as to what went down. And all of his real estate ventures have been very successful. All his individual ventures have been failures when he was the only guy making the decisions. And for bankruptcies, he has filed bankruptcy, and he has walked away from things. He actually let one of them, his Atlantic City business, he would let the creditors take it from him because there was nothing he could do about it. And then he said, "Well, he has a great relationship with his kids." I'm saying, yeah, well, so did Vito Corleone. Having a good relationship with your kids doesn't mean that makes you a good public figure or somebody of any principles or values. You just have a good relationship with your kids.
Well, and now in defense of Trump, any businessman that starts as many businesses as he does has to expect some failures. And the nice thing that I like about him is that I want to believe that he cannot be bought. I want to believe that he's going to go in there and make the changes that need to be changed. And I also think that if the Republican Party pulls these kind of shenanigans at the convention, they're not going to be preserving their seats. I think the people are going to get in an uproar, and they won't vote for the incumbent Republicans to go in. And there's a good chance that Republicans could lose both the House and the Senate. This is a dangerous game that's being played, John.
Well, I don't think they'll lose the House, but I think the Senate is very much in jeopardy, especially after the election they had in, I believe it was Kentucky. They had a special election for their Senate, like 5 or 6 of their Senate seats were for special election, and the Democrats were able to hang on to the majority. So I think that's kind of indicative of where we're going here. I agree. I think what the Republican Party is on the verge of doing is crashing and burning, but I think it's intentional. I don't think it's that it's by happenstance. This is a choice they've made to preserve themselves and say, you know what, if we got to give up the White House so that we can continue to say we can't do anything because we don't have a Republican president, then so be it. That's what I'm seeing right here.
Yeah. Now, listen, we both got to take a break. Are you going to call me back, or am I going to call you back at the end of this break?
Yeah, I'll try to call you back. I just don't know why your line didn't pick up, but I'll try to give you a call back as soon as we're done.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. Now, we're going to be taking a short break. We'll be right back after these brief messages with John Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate simulcast.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's
Well, he was dialing, and for some reason I couldn't get him on there. John is trying to get a hold of me. Let me see if I can't get a hold of him, and that might be the best way to handle this. Let's give that a try.
With Ron trying to call.
Oh, there you go. I got you.
Yeah, I don't know. Something's wrong with my Skype.
Okay, well, I got you anyway. That's the good part, you know. So anyway, you were talking about
Ron was trying to call me, and he couldn't get through. He kept getting a busy signal. Today I'm trying to call you, and you're not picking up the call.
You know, actually, I saw you trying to call. I tried to pick up on it, and it wouldn't pick up. And so I decided, well, what the heck? I'll just call you, and that works fine.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to check for updates or something here. Something went wrong. Okay. All right.
So
I was going to say about the debate last night. One of the things I thought very suspicious was Jake Tapper asked 3 of the candidates about their ideas on Social Security reform.
Right.
And Trump's position was pretty much leave it as it is, and we end up taking money out of other areas of government fraud, waste, and abuse, shutting down some of the agencies, whatever it is, taking some of that money and putting it into Social Security and basically, fattening up the bank. Cruz and Rubio both had this idea about going back to people younger than 55 and saying that we increase the Social Security age before they can draw benefits. And then Cruz even added on to it that he thought that some money should go into private investment accounts.
Sounds like George W., doesn't it?
But they never asked John Kasich what he thought about it. And Kasich is the guy who wants to actually cut benefits. And so I thought that was kind of interesting that the one guy that actually, the Republicans are always being accused of wanting to do away with Social Security and stealing money from grandma. And here Kasich is the apple of the establishment's eye right now. And nobody asked him what he wanted to do with Social Security, but he wants to cut it.
Well, yeah, but you know what, John? All those guys were walking on eggshells because remember where this debate was taking place. It is in Florida, the retirement capital of the world, for Pete's sake. There are a lot of people in Florida on Social Security and Medicare, and these guys had to walk on eggshells. And they haven't told the truth yet. Why would they start now?
Yeah, well, I just thought it was very telling. I wondered what Kasich's rating or approval rating would be this morning had they asked him the same question like they did over in Ohio town hall last week, where he told one of the women there, she goes, he told her, he says, you probably don't even know what you get on your benefits, and she said, well, I'm not for cutting my benefits. And he said, well, you'll get used to it.
Jeez, you know what? There's a brashness about Kasich that just rubs people the wrong way.
Entrapment and things that these moderators are doing, that they would have set Kasich up, but they didn't do it.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, and then did you hear the Trump this morning? He was told about another debate that's supposed to take place on the 21st in Salt Lake City, and he says, "What debate? I never heard of another debate. Matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be any more debates now."
Yeah, well, I would agree. I think they've had about 5 too many.
Yeah.
Or it's too close together.
Well, you know what? It's almost like there's two a week going on now. I'm getting sick of this. You can't even turn the TV on without seeing Trump or without seeing the stuff this morning. They spent an entire hour, I think it was this morning, where Ben Carson was supporting Trump. No, actually it was yesterday, I think. And did you notice that usually when somebody gets a supporter, like, when Chris Christie came in to support Trump, and when the Nimrod from Alaska, I can never think of her name.
Palin.
Yeah, Sarah Palin. They generally stand on the stage right behind Trump when they're doing these things. But that wasn't the case with Ben Carson. Ben Carson, Trump didn't come on the stage till Carson got off the stage, and when Carson came back to the stage, Trump got off the stage. They didn't even stand next to each other.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that they would put Ben Carson out there by himself. This guy has a hard time putting 3 sentences together in 5 minutes.
Isn't it amazing? Here's the guy. He is an outstanding, one of the best infant neurosurgeons in the world. He cannot put together a cohesive sentence to save his soul.
No, all that brain power is put into the thinking end of it, and thank God for that. I mean, yeah, I think I'm really surprised that he endorsed Trump. I really thought he would not endorse anybody. He was the one guy that I thought would just refrain because he is the outsider, and he was the one that was always, they were acting like a bunch of kids. He was the only adult on the stage during the debate process, and I thought he won't endorse anybody. I mean, obviously he was not going to endorse Ted Cruz because Cruz screwed him in Iowa.
Yeah. Big time. But did you hear there was Trump was intimating that he would probably use Ben Carson for education, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Why would he pick Ben Carson for education? If you were going to pick Ben Carson for anything, I would think Surgeon General, but not in charge of education.
Yeah, I would. That's my line of thought. The only reason that Carson would endorse would be the same thing like Chris Christie. I think for sure Chris Christie is Trump's VP guy. And I think Ben Carson, if I was president, I definitely want somebody like Ben Carson in my cabinet. I'd put him in charge of Health and Human Services.
Yeah, absolutely. Besides, just why would you suggest that you're going to put him in charge of education when Education and Commons Core is one of the cabinet positions that you want to dissolve?
Well, yeah, that's my thing. I would like, the only one that asked for the position of Department of Education was Carly Fiorina, and she told Ted Cruz, "You put me in charge of that, and I'll disband it."
Yeah, just unbelievable stuff going on. I just, I keep turning my head and I think, this is the scariest thing in the world, that one of these 6 people that we're watching is going to be the President of the United States. Just scares me to death.
Well, I'll tell you what scares me even more. Well, I can't say even more, but just as much, is the court of public opinion here dealing with Hillary Clinton. Now, I don't expect her to get indicted for anything. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that the FBI comes out and at least recommends that she be indicted. And I don't think if they do, I don't think she's going to be indicted on emails as in terms of security breaches. I think she's going to be indicted on political and corruption, using her position to make money with the Clinton Foundation. There's enough stuff out there that I think that's what the FBI is looking at, not so much her security breaches. But if that happens, if they come out and they say, we recommend an indictment, and even if it doesn't happen, the court of public opinion is going to shift dramatically. That puts, in my opinion, Joe Biden in the race. They're going to draft Joe Biden, use those super delegates, and pull him into the race. And if that happens, he will win. And if he wins, we're really in trouble.
Yeah.
That's how I see that playing out on that side. But it all depends on what Charles Krauthammer called the FBI primary.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because right now it doesn't appear to me that any of the candidates are running their own campaigns. You know who's running these campaigns? The media. The media is running this whole thing.
Well, yeah, that's standard operating procedure here. But I just find it funny that, like Hillary just keeps dismissing this indictment thing. This is not going to happen. Feinstein and Adam Schiff, the 2 people on the Intelligence Committee, are now saying that it was the Inspector General at the State Department that was at fault for all this. The guy that was appointed by their own president, Barack Obama, is the one in conspiracy with the Republicans to take Hillary down. And they're all looking at the security issue. Yeah. And the FBI has not informed anybody as to what they're actually investigating. And Loretta Lynch said that at the hearing the other day. Nobody's told the White House or the Clintons or anybody else what they're investigating. And I think it's going to be a rude awakening should it be that they're investigating the corruption aspect of this and not the security issue breaches. And if that's the case, everybody's going to be blindsided.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, we got 10 seconds. Why don't you go ahead and give out some contact information?
Yeah. You just find us at theconservativesyndicate.net, and everything you want to know about the show is there. I'm there, Joe there. Joe is going in for surgery. They finally found out what's wrong with him, and he has to undergo some surgery. They're going to take out a cyst that's on his spine. That's what's causing it. So, but just go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You find out everything you want to know about our show.
And tell Joe that our prayers are with him, will you please?
Will do.
All right. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Okay. All right. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Okay. Now, don't go away. We're going to be back with David Garrett on the law right after these brief messages.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the bowels of the Hall of Justice, our own legal guru, David Garrett, attorney at law.
Hey, David, welcome aboard. Listen, you got your rain gear on? Because the animals are lining up 2 by 2 outside the studio here.
Well, I noticed that. I just looked out the window here. It's coming down.
Yeah, I mean, it's really coming down. Not that we don't need it. We certainly need it, but holy mackerel. There for a while, I mean, it was coming down in buckets.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be swimming home.
Yeah, you know, I was telling people that it's that infamous California liquid sunshine that I'm seeing outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll tell you.
So listen, did you get to go fishing last weekend?
No, I didn't make it out. I was going to go, and then I was going to take Teresa with me, but she's kind of susceptible to motion sickness, and I started looking at the waves and the swell report.
Well, I figured
that was about as far as we got.
I figured you were going to say that Teresa said to you that you're not going to, she's not going to go, and neither are you.
Well, that was kind of it,
So,
supported by the excuse of I'll get motion sickness out there. So.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I wanted to ask you something. You saw in the news, or perhaps you didn't, but this Trump protester that got cold-cocked by this 78-year-old guy, got an elbow in the eye, purposely done. It was right on television, and he was later charged with assault. And I'm wondering what happens to a guy that is charged with assault that's on national television. So obviously he did it. And what's he looking at?
Oh, a lot of it would be dependent on his criminal history, but I suspect he'd probably get fine, maybe some days of trash pickup and anger management classes.
When that thing was all over, he actually made an announcement on television that if the guy came back in, that he might just have to kill him.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, this guy's not only 78; he's stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That always brings up that interesting dichotomy between freedom of speech and what speech is too much speech, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. And you know what? Do you think, and I'm sure this is not what you wanted to talk about today, but, to what extent, if it looks as though Trump or any other candidate is encouraging this kind of activity toward the protesters in these rallies that they hold, to what extent are they liable for this?
I don't think they would be. I mean, it would have to go way beyond just what any of these people would ever do in, their political speeches to ever impose any sort of liability. It'd have to get almost to the stage of inciting a riot and, planning we're going to go do this and let's go out in the streets and tear everything down. And
he did make the comment that he'd love to just punch one of these guys right in the face. And as a matter of fact, if any of his supporters were to do that and got in trouble, that he'd pay the costs.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I don't think it's going to get him criminal liability. The other interesting thing with Trump is he says so many inflammatory things there that at some point you got to just figure he's shooting off at the mouth. So
yeah, and so far getting away with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So listen. So listen. What do you have on the agenda for today?
Well, I do have something kind of interesting. It's in this speech area, and when it crosses over into criminal action, what you can be prosecuted for.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give you kind of the background here.
All right.
There's this cop back in New York, and he is kind of a twisted individual. He'd do his shift at work and then come home and log on to an internet sex fetish community called Dark Fetish Network. And in this thing, they do all sorts of bizarre things. So he comes home at night and, his shift ends kind of late and he's staying up on the computer for, until the wee hours of the morning. And at some point, his wife becomes a little bit concerned about his internet activities and put spyware on there because she really wants to see what the guy's doing. So they get the spyware and find out that he's logging into this dark fetish network. And in there, there's a group of people that get together that plan to do all these very horrific things to women. So they'll talk about, I'm going to kidnap this particular woman. And they'll argue about how much price somebody would pay to have her kidnapped and, things of that nature. And then they're going to engage in kidnapping, torturing, cooking people, raping.
How? Jesus.
Murdering and cannibalizing various women. And they just get going back and forth on this stuff. They never do anything. They just sit around and concoct these sexual fantasies amongst the participants there. So it's truly bizarre what they come up with.
It's sick.
Yeah, that's the only word for it. I mean, I don't know if you ever watched that one show comes on Wednesday night. the criminal.
CSI Cyber.
It's not the cyber one. It's the FBI criminal behavior unit.
Oh yeah. Criminal Minds.
Yeah, I mean, some of the most bizarre things you've seen in that don't hold a candle to what these people are doing.
Wow.
So I mean, it is really out there. Over the process of this time, he connects
Well, let me stop you for a second. You said don't hold a candle to what these people are doing. But prior to that, you said they aren't really doing anything. They're actually just putting this stuff on the internet. Now you're suggesting that they are doing these things?
I misspoke there. By doing, I meant concocting their fantasy.
Gotcha.
They're not physically out harming anybody.
Okay.
They are doing some things that were wildly inappropriate, like passing around photographs of these purported victims. In fact, I think in some cases, this cop even passed some of the photographs of his own wife around. But he hooks up with 24 individuals on this dark fetish network. And they start through a series of these role play things. The various individuals of the group never get to know specifically who they're talking with, other than by a screen name or maybe an email address. As far as who they are, they don't know anything about it. And so this leads to a criminal prosecution based on conspiracy to kidnap.
Okay. Now I'm getting lost.
Okay.
This was a website for these extreme things, and now it has turned to an actual attempt at kidnapping.
Yeah, that's what they prosecute him for, and this is where the court's having the difficulty. So they're prosecuting him for engaging in all these discussions about all these horrific things they're going to do. And the police now have all the transcripts of the chats going back and forth and all the emails and everything else that, you can get off the internet. And they've decided that this role-playing stuff these guys are involved in has arisen to the level of a conspiracy to kidnap.
Wow.
So, and they prosecute the guy. And you can imagine what a jury's going to do when they hear the nonsense this guy's coming up with. Whether it meets the legal standard of a conspiracy to kidnap.
But David, just the planning and never execution of is against the law?
In some situations, it can be. I mean, if you went out and had enough specificity and the ability to carry out, for instance, kidnapping, you pick a time, you pick a person, and let's say you're driving there to a group of people, somebody's driving there to actually take, the individual, kidnap the person, but you get stopped on the way there, and so you physically don't accomplish the act of kidnapping. Well, the person should still be prosecuted for conspiracy to commit the act, because, we just can't have people running around doing that. And do we actually have to wait until somebody's physically kidnapped before it becomes a crime?
And so if they're on their way, does it leave being a conspiracy and become an attempt?
The attempt would, in that situation, it would probably be an attempt that I gave to you. It would more likely be a conspiracy to commit kidnapping. They just never actually got the kidnapping accomplished.
Right.
But they took all the steps there to get to that point.
And the authorities simply stopped it before it happened.
Right.
Sort of like what Homeland Security tries to do with terrorists.
Right. Yeah, it's. I mean, you can see the wisdom in having laws out there.
Oh, sure. And so what would they be facing in a case like this? I mean, if the jury comes back and says, yeah, we see this, we believe this, we think this is what you're going to do, and we're finding you guilty of this conspiracy, what are they actually facing?
Well, it'd obviously be prison time. I quite candidly didn't look to see, how much time he would have gotten under the federal sentencing guidelines. Mm-hmm. But, you're talking in terms of years, not months. And it's definitely a felony conviction.
So let me ask you this. Is all kidnapping a federal offense? Or I was under the impression they had to cross state lines for it to be a federal issue.
And that's generally true, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can have a kidnapping as both state and federal. Mm. In this particular case, it was because of what they spoke about and their plans and all that. It ended up being a federal prosecution.
So let me ask you this: let's assume for a moment that this took place in let's just say California for the sake of a conversation, and it became a federal issue, and they arrested him, and went through the trial, the whole thing, regardless of whether they were found guilty or innocent. Could the state of California now turn around and try him again under the venue of California?
I think there's a theoretical possibility that could happen.
So he could get tried twice for the same crime, two different jurisdictions, and when they get done serving time for his crime for the feds, the state would just pick him up at the door and bring him into a state prison.
Very highly unlikely. But I mean, you've heard about some of these rampant guys go on a rampant murder spree, and
oh yeah,
I think there's one guy up in. Actually, those would be separate offenses.
Oh, Richard Ramirez is a good example of that.
Yeah. And I've always kind of wondered that. You brought up an interesting question there. I know of a case in northern Idaho that's just happened recently. Mm-hmm. And they convicted the guy, and he's on death row up there. No, not death row. They sentenced him to life plus a few hundred years.
That's death row, I guess.
Yeah. But he'd also done something wrong in California at another point in time. And now California was trying to extradite him to prosecute him down here. And I've always kind of wondered just...
What's the point?
Yeah.
That's just spending needless money for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you sentence a guy to much beyond life plus a few hundred years.
Yeah. It's sort of like the murderer who he gets found guilty. They've got enough evidence to find him guilty for one of the 4 murders that he committed, and he gets sentenced to death or life in prison without parole, whatever it might be. You know what? So is it a big deal that they didn't find him guilty on the other 3? He's still gonna be punished for life. Doesn't that kind of solve the problem?
I think it does, personally. I think sometimes these things where we pass around these guys like we're talking about that it's political motivation by the prosecuting DA. He got his pound of flesh up in Idaho, and you got a pound left. We'll get it out of him down here.
Hey, listen, give out some contact information. We're going to go on a commercial break, and then also let us know what we're going to talk about when we come back.
Okay. Phone number is 909-945-5000, and our website is www.lawbbg.com. And I was going to go through a little bit more of the governance analysis of how it distinguishes between fantasy and what is actually criminal conduct.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. We've got a lot of good show left. We'll be right back with David Garrett on the law.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:22 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 51 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in liquid sunny Southern California. It's raining outside. It's on its way down to 47 degrees. But if you're listening to us on our global network and you're in London, England, it's 39 degrees and misty. And if you're in Vienna, Austria, it's 41 degrees and overcast. But I'll tell you where there's no rain getting in the way, and that's in the brain of our own David Garrett on the law. Hey, David, I want to remind everybody, too, that daylight savings time starts this coming Sunday at 2 a.m. Sunday morning. So when you go to bed Saturday night, set your clocks ahead 1 hour. That's spring ahead 1 hour, and that way when you wake up, you'll realize that you've lost an hour somewhere. But it'll stay, but it'll stay late, really. It'll start, daytime really late. Anyway, David, you were going to talk about the intricacies of how these accusations are determined.
Yeah, we talked about what is actually a conspiracy. So let me give you the three main things that consist of a conspiracy. You have to have a general agreement about what you're going to do. Then they have to prove that you have the specific intent to achieve that agreement, and then have done one overt act in furtherance of the agreement. Well, in this case, you have a general agreement between these guys on this DFN network that they're going to kidnap somebody and do all these atrocious things to them. So that wasn't a problem. The overt act would be, since they're working in there and they're making these very precise plans about how they're going to accomplish the goal, you have your overt act. Where the problem in the case was, did they ever actually form a specific intent to do what they said they were going to do? Or were they just engaged in the fantasy of, being sexual perverts on the internet? We're talking about all this, but we really never meant to do it. Mm. And so that's where the court runs into its dilemma. It makes the comment here, although it is increasingly challenging to identify that line in the internet age, it still exists and must be rationally discernible in order to ensure that a person's inclination and fantasies are his own and beyond the reach of government. And that's the idea of what the court is trying to conclude here. So in the prosecution, the jury finds the guy guilty of conspiracy to kidnap. And I can only surmise, but I think probably about the time they finished talking about stuffing people in ovens, the jury was maybe not quite as concerned about the precise legal definition of specific intent.
Yeah, they were probably already sick to their stomachs and just wanted to do away with this guy.
Yeah, he just belongs in jail kind of deal.
You know what? Here's the thing. We're talking about conspiracy. And just tell me if I'm wrong. To have a conspiracy, doesn't there have to be more than one conspirator?
Yes, there does, yeah. Can't conspire with yourself. So, but here he's got all these guys on the internet.
So they're all, they just can't find him, but they're all conspirators, right?
He'd talk with one guy and come up with a plan as to this woman, talk with another guy, come up with a plan as to this other woman, and they'd exchange their little stories and then go on to the next thing. So you had the two individuals on the internet that could be co-conspirators to engage in their act of kidnapping and everything else they were talking about. Where the case for the government started running into trouble is they ran into occasions where this guy would, in essence, attempt to do things that were just physically impossible to do. He had, on one day, let's see, give you an example here. He agreed with this one guy to lure his wife to either India or Pakistan on February 20th and to slaughter her there.
Oh, jeez.
Then he also agrees with another individual to kidnap this woman named Elisa in Manhattan on February 20th, 2012, and to deliver her to an unknown location for $4,000 in cash. And then again on the same day, he agrees with somebody else to kidnap a third person and from her home in Columbus, Ohio. So,
so it's impossible to be in three places at one time.
Yeah. So the court is going through all these things, and the prosecution brought on expert witness that said out of the 24 plots that they had before them, 21 of them were absolute fantasy. But they felt that 3 of them were actually, they'd formed the specific intent to do the kidnapping.
I mean, at what point does this actually become a murder by hire, murder for hire by this guy, and he's scamming everybody to get these thousands of dollars, and really can't perform because he can't be in all these places at one time. And so the conspiracy is really not to commit murder; it's to commit fraud.
And, they probably could have got him there just as well.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that the $4,000 is to be paid by the individual he's entering into the conspiracy with. Do you follow me?
Right. Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah. And they had other things here, like they would talk about having a human-sized oven, a spit, a remote cabin in the woods, and these would all be integrated into these discussions. And Valley owned none of these items and never made an effort to acquire it. And personally, I didn't even know there were things where you could buy a human-sized oven.
Yeah, I mean, this is sickening.
It is. It is very sickening.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what to say about the guy, but the interesting thing was that this case, as you read through it, we get to our freedom of speech issues, and I guess the bottom line of this rule is that it's okay to get on Dark Fetish Network and talk about things that you would never intend on doing in real life, and you can't be prosecuted for your perverted thoughts. So it's, kind of a no-holds-barred kind of situation.
Yeah, but to what extent? I mean, they talk about freedom of speech, but what the Supreme Court's already said that you can't walk into a crowded theater and yell fire. Isn't it the same? Isn't there some limitation to what you can do?
Yeah, and I think it's going to come down to, in each case, that specific intent.
Yeah.
Did you really intend to do it, or were you just in there, engaged in role playing?
Yeah, but then it comes down to, you really can never know what my intent was because you can't read my mind. Only I know what my intent was. There's the appearance that I intended to do something, but you really don't know what my intent was until I act on it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I kind of wonder if the outcome would have been different if, as opposed to prosecuting this, Mr. Valley had been doing this stuff for, a long period of time, and have all these different stories where he's coming up with, I'm going to kidnap this person here, and I'm going to drive 1,000 miles and get the same person the same day. And after some point in time, when you have enough of these fantasy scenarios drawn out, you realize the guy's just a nutty sexual pervert, doesn't intend on doing anything. Yeah. What if you compared that to a person that came in one time and got in there and came up with a plan, and then, much to his surprise, with his fellow kooks in that area, the plan never takes place? Would it be easier to argue that the one time going in, that guy was really serious about kidnapping that person on that specific day, paying somebody $4,000 for delivery? And I don't have the answer to the question.
Yeah.
I just throw that out there, but I think the reason this case went the way it did was simply because of the sheer volume and the nonsensical nature of many of the things he was planning. you just can't do all those things on the same day.
Yeah, it's physically impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So, you know what, just there, you know, David, this world is not as nice as the one I grew up in.
Not at all. Not at all.
You know, I can remember when I was a young boy. I mean, my folks left the keys in the car, and the doors were never locked. I was raised on a dairy in Cypress, California, and everything was peaceful. You never heard anything like that. My parents let me do what I wanted when I wanted, as long as I was home before dark. That was the rule: be home before dark. They didn't care what I did, where I went, or anything, because they weren't worried about me being hurt. You know, times were really, really different. I'm sure that they had murders and stuff like that. I don't. They weren't reported as much as they are today. Now you can't watch the news or read a newspaper or do anything without seeing, you know, mass murders, multiple. There was one just took place. 6 people were gunned down for no reason at all. You know.
Yeah.
It's just. This is not a nice world. And I had made the comment when I was doing the news, the first 2 segments of the show are news segments. And I made the comment about, you know, how depressing it is that you know, the only thing you see anymore are these mass murders. It's not one. It's not some secret thing going on. And people aren't happy unless there's 6 or 7 or 8 or 18 all at one time, for Pete's sake. What is wrong with these people? And they tell us we don't need to have some kind of gun weapons, control. We certainly got to do something.
Oh, we got to keep the guns out of the wackos. No question about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I understand people's right to bear arms, and I think there's some confusion and stuff with it. But I honestly believe that we should have in place some way of doing backgrounds, mental backgrounds, and history backgrounds, something more than 3 days worth before somebody can get their hands on not only the weapon, but I think on the ammunition should be tracked as well.
Yeah. I wish I had an answer for all of that. I don't know. You know, even looking at this guy we're talking about, he somehow or another managed to pass the psychological background or profiling test necessary to be a cop.
Yeah, can you imagine? I mean,
look what he's engaged in.
Yeah, I mean, this is just sick stuff. Hey, so we got 20 seconds. Why don't you go ahead and give out that contact information one more time? And then, but before you do that, I want to remind everybody for the last time that this Sunday at 2 a.m., time changes. Daylight savings time starts. So when you go to bed Saturday night, set your clocks ahead 1 hour. That way you won't be shocked the next morning when you find out you lost an hour. Okay, David, go ahead and give that contact information.
Okay, we can be reached by phone at area code 909-945-5000, and the website is www.lawdbg.com.
Hey, David, stay safe, stay dry, stay happy, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Definitely, Bob. Have a great weekend.
All right. Make everybody's life better because you're in it. Take care, buddy. And the rest of you, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to do the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back after these brief messages. We got lots of good stuff left for you.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 50 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny, well, liquid sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 45 degrees, and it is raining outside, but we really need it here in California. So if you're listening to us on our global syndicated network and you're in Madrid, Spain, well, you know what? It's 39 degrees and it's clear, but 39 degrees is kind of cold. In Tokyo, it's 43 degrees and mostly cloudy. But right now, it's time for the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. Tip of the day. And the management tip today is, don't lose your cool with a passive-aggressive colleague. Now, this is a big deal, guys. Your colleague says one thing in a meeting, but then does another. He passes you in the hallway without saying hello and talks over you in meetings. But when you ask to speak to him about it, he insists that everything's fine and the problem is all in your head. What should you do? Well, first, don't lose your cool and don't accuse the person of acting passive-aggressively. That'll only make him madder. Take a step back and ask yourself if you're contributing to the issue in some way. Then, talk to the person and address the underlying business issue in a calm, matter-of-fact way. Recount how some of your previous interactions have played out, explaining the impact it's having on you and possibly others. If feasible, show that the behavior is working against something your counterpart cares about, like achieving the team's goals. Well, keep in mind that if you can't get this resolved, there's only one real final solution. If they're not part of the team and part of the solution, then they're part of the problem, and you got to get rid of it. That's unfortunate, but that's it. Well, let's talk about the secret daily teaching for your life. You know, this is all about a positive mental attitude. You've heard me talk about this over and over and over again. And, you know, you are in control of whether you're rich or you're poor, you're sad or you're happy, whether you're, successful or a failure. It all really depends on you. You even control the people around you, whether they're going to be happy and responsive. It's all about that positive mental attitude. Now, today's secret is nothing is limited, not resources or anything else. It is only limited in the human mind. When we open our minds to the unlimited creative power, we will call forth abundance and see and experience a whole new world. These are the things for you to be thinking about, to put you on that positive mental attitude. And you know what? That's just what life is really all about. You're in total control. Well, you know what today is? Sure you do. It's Friday, and it's March the 11th, and it is somebody's birthday. And we've got some great birthdays today. Here's a guy born in 1931, a media mogul. He is the founder, a major shareholder, and chairman and managing director of News Corp. What is that? Well, it's a company owned by Rupert Murdoch. Happy birthday, Rupert. And here's a fellow that we all know also, born in 1934, reporter and news anchor on ABC News. Happy birthday, Sam Donaldson. And here's somebody that a lot of you will remember. He's born in 1950. He was a vocalist and a conductor. Happy birthday, Bobby Farron. And then finally, 1979. We've got a duel going on here. American guitarist Good Charlotte in Happy Birthday, Benji and Joel Madden. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what happened today in history? Can you think about it? Let me tell you. March 11th, 1993. Janet Reno is confirmed by the United States Senate and sworn in the very next day, becoming the first female attorney general. Yeah, give that some thought. And how about in 1997, ashes of Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry are launched into space. That's appropriate. And 1997, Beatle Paul McCartney knighted Sir Paul by the Queen. And then finally, Pink Floyd in 1967 releases their first song, Arnold Lane. Yep, absolutely. Well, the quote for today comes from Margaret Young, and she says, often people attempt to live their lives backwards. They try to have more things or more money in order to do more of what they want, so they will be happier. The way it actually works is the reverse. You must first be who you really are, then do what you need to do in order to have what you want. That is profound. That is the truth. That is good. Well, you know what? It's time for us to do those interesting but useless facts. We've got a number of them here, and we've got some time. I'm running a little ahead of time. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, did you know that the first shopping bag with handles was invented in 1918 by Walter Dubiner? Yep. I think it's how you pronounce it, Dubiner. I think it's Dubiner. And that's, you think about these things being around all the time, but you don't think about, they really haven't been that long. How about this? When sailors speak of sheets, as in 4 sheets to the wind, they are not talking about sails. A sheet in nautical terminology is a rope or a chain. Give that some thought. Yep. Well, if you're a sailor anyway. How about this? Snails can live up to 15 years. Wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing. How about this? In a full-grown rye plant, the total length of fine root hairs may reach 6,600 miles. Can you imagine? Holy cow. That's across the United States twice. Or there and back, anyway. How about this? Eggplant is a member of the thistle family. Yeah. And if it's prepared right, boy, it's fantastic, too. How about this one? Alaska has the longest border with Canada of all the 50 states. Now, not together, individual. So keep that in mind. How about this one? Just 20 seconds worth of fuel remained when Apollo 11's lunar module landed on the moon. 11 seconds. Wow. Can you imagine what Neil Armstrong was thinking when he was trying to put that sucker down? 11 seconds. Wow. That's amazing. How about this? Did you know that a tuna called the bluefin tuna can be sold for over $20,000 around the world? Wow. Man, I didn't know that. That's huge. How about this? There are more bald eagles in the province of British Columbia than there are in the whole United States. Matter of fact, I remember one time I was visiting Alaska with my wife and some friends, and it's the first time I actually got to see a bald eagle in the wild, and they are just magnificent. They're beautiful. Well, let's give you another one. The odds of being born male are about 51.2%, according to a census. And I'm going to leave you with this one. A wolf can run at a speed of 65 kilometers per hour during a chase. Now, wolves have long legs and spend most of the time trotting at a speed of 12 to 16 kilometers per hour. Now, they can keep up a reasonable pace for hours and have been known to cover distances of 90 kilometers in one night. Yeah, you can't call them lazy. I will give you one more, and you'll know why in a second. Did you know the word taxi is spelled the same in English as it is in German, in French, in Swedish, and Portuguese? And I only mention it because I am Portuguese. Now, don't go away. We still got more interesting stuff for you. We're going to be doing our emails for you. The first one that I'm going to be doing for you after this break is from Xavier Henderson from Bartlett, Tennessee, asking about over withholding solution, and I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900, or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, we're coming down to the wire. Time for us to answer your emails. And we're actually kind of now I'm a little behind the ball here. So let's get right to it. Xavier Henderson writes me from Bartlett, Tennessee, asking about over withholding solutions and says, I filled out a new Form W-4 with my employer, but it leaves me paying too much in taxes. Can I claim more withholding allowances than the form says that I'm actually entitled to take? Well, you know what, Xavier? The answer to your question is yes. The IRS itself says you do not have to use the Form W-4 worksheets if you use a more accurate method of figuring the number of withholding allowances. You can use the number of withholding allowances determined under an alternative method rather than the number determined using that Form W-4 worksheets. Now, go to the IRS publication 505, that's tax withholding and estimated tax. You can claim any number of allowances that will properly balance your withholding with the amount of tax that you actually owe. Now, you might find this helpful. Use the IRS withholding calculator found in the individuals section of the IRS website at www.irs.gov. That'll help you. Well, next email comes from Jaden Hinosa from Sterling Heights, Michigan, asking about automatic tax payments. He says, can I have my bank's automatic bill paying system pay my quarterly estimated taxes? Well, Jaden, there's a better way to do this. Use the electronic federal tax payment system, we just call it EFTPS, to make payments from your bank account to the IRS electronically. Now, here's some details for you. Visit the IRS website, again, at www.irs.gov, and click on the e-file logo. Now, this is much better than using the bank's bill payment system, assuming the bank system will even make these tax payments for you. Why? The IRS is more likely to lose or misallocate a payment that arrives in an unfamiliar form. And if you don't designate exactly what a payment is for, as via the EFTPS or by writing the details on your check, and a bank system is unlikely to do that for you, the IRS is free to apply it to any liability of yours that arises causing confusion if you have more than one tax debt. So use that EFTPS instead. You'll be glad that you did that. And next email comes from Jamie Hoffman from Arvada, Colorado, asking about tax treaties and says, how can I find out about a tax treaty that the United States has with a foreign nation? Well, good question, Jamie. IRS publication 901, that's U.S. tax treaties, provides an overview of tax treaties, how they operate, and who they affect. Now, the full text of the tax treaties that the U.S. government has entered into with about 60 foreign nations are available on the IRS website at, again, www.irs.gov. Now, enter United States Income Tax Treaties in the search box. But you know what? You need to be really careful here. These are technical legal documents, and you should interpret them only with the help of a professional who's an expert in international taxation. So you want to be careful about that. And my last email today comes from Zoe Hoping from Pacific Palisades, California, asking about home office danger and says, will a home office deduction attract an IRS audit? Well, Zoe, the home office deduction is much less of an audit flag today than it was a generation ago. It's far more common, and Congress and the IRS have regularized rules that once led to tax disputes. Now, today, it doesn't particularly create more audit risk than any other common business deduction unless it is unusual in size or in some other way, which is true of all deductions for that matter. If you file an honest return and are legitimately entitled to any deduction, you should absolutely take it and not fear the IRS auditor. There's no point in paying more than you actually owe the IRS. Everybody should pay their fair share, but not one god-awful penny more. Just trust me here. Now, you do want to be safe about this, though. Check the rules in IRS publication 587, as business use of your home, and take photos of your office to document how you use it in case the IRS ever asks you about that. Now, I want to encourage you to get our app. It's absolutely free. Go to the Apple Store and search Robert Cardoza Live. The app is right there. You can download it. It's absolutely free. And if you have a Windows or an Android product, go to googleplay.com. Again, search Robert Cardoza Live, and the app is right there. Again, absolutely free. And if we're broadcasting live, you'll see a little red flag there that says live. And if we're not broadcasting live, all of our archives are right there. And push on the little information segment that's there, it'll tell you what's on that show for the day. So keep that in mind. We encourage you to do that and tell all your friends about it. Now, on my next show, John Matthews and I are going to be doing our simulcast on the Conservative Syndicate. We do that every Monday and Friday. And John Hanson, that little old wine drinker, is going to be here. And John and I are going to be talking about food and wine. Now, I want you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.